Hello students, today we will discuss the second part of the lecture on food security in India for grade 9. In the last lecture we had discussed what is food security, who are insecure and why do we need it, etc. And if you recall, we had learned that the government had come up with two prominent systems for food security, that is buffer stock and public distribution system. We already had learned what is buffer stock. Today, let's see what exactly is this public distribution system and what is the current status of public distribution system and role of cooperatives in food security. First, coming to what is public distribution system, you probably have a ration card or heard of it. Now, the food that the FCI has procured from farmers, they are sold at government regulated ration shops meant for the poorer sections of the society. This is the process that is called the public distribution system or PDS. Ration shops are present all over the country and there are about 4.6 lakh of them. Ration shops are also known as fair price shops and they keep stock of food grains, sugar, kerosene oil for cooking, etc. Any family with a ration card can buy a stipulated amount, that is an exact amount of these items such as 35 kgs of grains, 5 liters of kerosene, etc. every month from the nearby ration shop. Now this system of rationing, that is allowing each person to buy only a limited amount of items, was introduced in the 1940s during the Bengal famine prior to the Green Liberation. Now if you recall, in the last lecture we learned about the Bengal famine and the atrocity that it had caused in our country. Now there are three other important food intervention programs that were introduced in our country. Firstly, the PDS system itself was strengthened. It existed prior, but however, it was strengthened now. The Integrated Child Development Services was also introduced. And lastly, the Food for Work program was also introduced. At present, there are several programs that the government introduces every year that are aimed at alleviating the poor. That is, improving the conditions of poor, bringing them out of poverty, etc. These programs are mainly targeted for in rural areas for maximum efficiency. Now, what is the current status of the public distribution system? Meaning, how is it operating currently? In the beginning, the coverage of the PDS system was universal with no discrimination between the poor and non-poor. That is, all its policies applied the same throughout the country to every person. Over the years, however, the policy related to the PDS system has been revised to make it more efficient and targeted. That is, to so that only the ones that really need it and to benefit them for this program was redesigned. In 1992, revamped public distribution system was introduced in 1700 blocks in the country. The target was to provide the benefits of PDS to remote and backward areas. It was the first time a differential price policy was adopted for the poor and non-poor. That is, the poor had to pay a different price than the non-poor. Now, further in 2000, two special schemes were launched, that is the AAY and the APS system, with special target groups of poorest of the poor and indigent senior citizens. Indigent means someone who is very poor and needs financial aid. The functioning of these two schemes was linked to the existing network of the PDS system, and the PDS has provided to be the most effective instrument of the government policy over the years in establishing prices and making food available to consumer at affordable prices. It has been instrumental, that is helpful in reducing widespread hunger and famine. As we learned in the previous lecture what hunger and famine means, this system has helped reduce that by supplying food from surplus regions, that is regions that have extra food, to states which are deficient or less or shortage of food. Now, however, PDS system has faced severe criticism on several grounds. Instances of hunger are prevalent despite overflowing granaries. As you know, poverty in our country still exists. And why does this exist? Even though the PDS system has overflowing amount of granaries, that is overflowing stock of grains. Why is the poverty still prevailing? The FCI godowns, that is the Food Corporation of India, the godowns that they own are overflowing with grains, with some even rotting away and being eaten by rats. Such a severe condition. So if you see this graph in front of you, it shows the rising stocks of food grains till 2002. In July 2002, the stock of wheat and rice was 63 million tons, which was more than the minimum buffer norms of 24 million tons. That is, the buffer norm says that only 24 million tons are required and should be kept in stocks. However, 63 million tons was kept instead. Now, although the stocks did reduce subsequent years, which resulting to famine, etc., but they were still very much above the buffer norms. Now, what is the problem with this? It is obvious that the food here is being wasted. All these grains were being wasted. Being stored in godowns is not making any use out of them, and they're being rotten away or being eaten by rats. Now, additional to wastage and deterioration, the cost of carrying these grains was very high. Now, the increased food grains procurement at enhanced MSP is the result of the pressure exerted by the leading food grain producing states such as Punjab, Haryana, and Andhra Pradesh. Meaning, these states were pressurizing the government to increase the government procurement of these food grains because they were being provided at a very minimum support price, and this was helping these states prosper. However, they were buying grains that were more than required. Moreover, as the procurement is concentrated in few prosperous regions and mainly two crops, wheat and rice, increasing the MSP has induced farmers, particularly in surplus states, to divert land from production of coarse grains, which is the staple food of the poor, to producing of rice and wheat. Meaning that because the MSP, that is the minimum support price that was given to these farmers for these grains, was increased, farmers started moving from producing other grains and other crops such as coarse grains to producing wheat and rice just to procure this minimum support price, and they can increase production of those grains. The intensive utilization of water in cultivation of rice also led to environmental degradation and fall in water level, threatening the sustainability of agriculture development in these states. As you know, water is required in huge amounts while producing rice. Now, what happens if more rice is produced and the farmers stop producing other grains? This led to a problem of sustainability and agricultural development in these states. Another major area of concern is the marked inefficiency of the PDS system, which is apparent from the fact that the average consumption of PDS grain at all India's level is only 1 kg per person 1 month. However, in some states such as Bihar and Orissa, it is less than 300 grams per person per month. And in states such as Kerala and Tamil Nadu, it ranges from 3 to 4 kilos. As a result, and the poor had to depend on market rates rather than the ration shops for their food needs. You can understand from seeing this data that the PDS system was inefficient, being universal in all the states, because clearly the requirement in each and every state was drastically different. The three types of cards in the range of prices that you see today did not exist. Meaning today that you see that there are three different type of cards meant for people of different financial capacities and the groups. They did not exist back then. Only one particular card existed and everyone had to buy the same amount of food grains. A large number of families could not buy food grains from the ration shop, subjected to a fixed quota. Meaning, if a family of 3 people and a family of 8 people had only the same amount of quota that they could buy, which is a very inefficient, meaning seeing that the family of 3 people did not need that much food and the family of 5 people or 8 people needed more food. Now, the the PDS system sometimes are found the people in charge for the PDS system, the governments, have sometimes found that they are resorting to malpractices like selling poor quality grains or diverting these grains to markets, other markets, hoarding these products, etc. Now, the three card system, uh, that is after the introducing of the three card system, that is the different quota depending on your income level, the situation has improved. Now, however, there is a lot of room to grow, but however, the three system card that you see today has drastically changed the situation. Now, let's see what is the role of cooperatives in food security. Cooperative is an autonomous association of persons united voluntarily to meet their common economic, social, cultural needs, etc., through a jointly owned enterprise. Meaning, it's a group of people that who join for a common purpose, and they form an association and an enterprise, and they sell their products. Cooperative societies were in our country were set up shops to sell low price goods to the poor people. So these are the private people that started selling goods at a lower price for poor people. For example, of all fair price shops running in Tamil Nadu, around 94% of these were run by cooperatives. That is, shops that sell items at a fair price were actually run by cooperatives. Now, as you all know, Amul is a famous cooperative that has brought about white revolution in our country with its milk products. That is, because of this cooperative, it has increased milk production and milk products production and distribution in our country, resulting in a white revolution. As you've similarly seen the green revolution, which was increase of food grains, white revolution was increase of milk and milk products. Similarly, in Maharashtra, Academy of Development of Science has facilitated network of NGOs for setting up grain banks in different regions. Now you can see cooperatives have a huge role in our country, and they have helped immensely in food security in our country. With that, we come to an end of this lecture. So I would like to pose a question to you. Why do you think cooperative societies are so successful? What do you think the government can learn from them? And thank you. I'll see you next time.